Greetings and welcome to the channel. So in this episode, I want to talk about, I would say, three different topics. I want to talk about and share my thoughts on the recent Tekken 8 news pertaining to Armor King, the latest character that's coming, I think, if I'm not mistaken, October 14th. I might be off on the date, but you know, it's whatever. And I also want to talk about the most recent news coming out of Activision as it pertains to Black Ops 7 and even Black Ops 6. And I want to conclude with just some thoughts and impressions of the upcoming Ninja Gaiden 4 DLC that has been announced. So hopefully, if this is your first time here, you'll consider subscribing and maybe even consider joining one of my channel memberships to help this very small yet steadily growing YouTube creator. So let's just, I'm going to share my screen and let's just jump right into this Tekken aspect, this Tekken news. So this tweet or X is from this creator, Buff Gigas. I'm familiar with him on YouTube. So I don't know the man or the individual. I don't know if it's a man. I'm assuming it's a man. So shout outs to him. He has been creating a lot of good content in the Tekken space. So I'm going to show this video, let this video play out. I'm pretty sure many of you've seen this, but I want to let this run and I want to just give my thoughts and impressions on it. So, as this gentleman says here, is that the bad Jaguar, and when you put in, just shorten it up, it just basically stands for BJ. So the stance, it does have an auto parry window. Armor King will counter with Poison Mist. Pretty much, I think of immediately the Great Muda for those who are very large pro wrestling fans. Upon successful parry, opponent can't break the follow-up throw if they got hit by the poison. He feels that it looks similar to Reina's stance. Also works against aerial attack, knee, and elbow. When I scroll down, I think somebody asks him this, and he says it's speculation right now as it pertains to knees and elbows, because only certain characters in Tekken can counter knees and elbows. Like a character like Leroy, who, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of like, in a sense, like a dead or alive character. And the reason why I call Leroy more of a dead or alive character is because he has a parry that counters everything. I guess you can also throw in Geese Howard for that from Tekken 7, because not everybody's counter can counter everything, you know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So just what I see here is pretty much Nakatsu's vision for Tekken 8. I have said this countless times on my channel. If you are a subscriber, if you're not, hopefully you will become one at the end of this video. I've said many times that this game, Tekken 8, was designed with the intention of bringing in the wider casual audience. That was the whole design thought process for the game. This is why this game was designed the way it was. 100%. This is why it was. And you know, some people like it, some people don't. I don't believe that Namco needed to go this far in that particular direction toward the casuals to appeal to them, while at the same time alienating many of the OG legacy players that actually helped to build your brand, your franchise, because basically the OGs, of which I'm a part of, being a 30-year veteran of the franchise and as a former professional competitor in Tekken, you know, you run the risk of alienating all of us just because you're chasing more of a casual crowd. Now, I understand from a business standpoint, it is what it is, but the more we see these new characters come in and their properties, you know, it definitely further proves my point that this game was designed for casuals. So in my opinion, I feel that this particular aspect of Armor King, if they really want this characters to succeed, this is going to have to be patched out the game immediately. Under no circumstances, as far as I'm concerned, should a grab be unbreakable at all. Grabs, as far as I'm concerned, in Tekken should not have any tracking properties. Grabs should not be unbreakable. Now, you can keep the parry as it is right here with the Armor King situation. Keep the parry. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Keep the parry, because it looks to me like it does damage. And if nothing else, it will give you, advantage, maybe to land a follow-up attack, something of that nature. But a full-on grab that you cannot break. Now, fine. It can give you a grab opportunity. That's how it should be. It's similar to like Virtua Fighter, right? Virtua Fighter, if you do certain attacks and they are blocked, you are open 100% to being grabbed. Like there's nothing you can do about it. You can break the grab, but you cannot avoid the situation that you will be in a grab situation. That is how I feel that this should have been treated. This should have been treated as a grab opportunity, an opportunity that the player, the Armor King player, has to decide and mix up the opponent with one of the many grabs I'm sure Armor King has. Now, if you want to just go for something guaranteed, you can probably do that as well. I wouldn't have an issue with something being guaranteed as long as it is not overly damaging, because when you have a parry like this that can pretty much destroy, or I would say disrupt, just about every move, until we have further confirmation of whether or not it can parry knees and elbows. But the standard punches and kicks, yeah, if you have something like that, and I'm assuming it also includes highs and mid attacks. I don't know if it also counters lows. I hope not. I don't think it will. But let's just go on with the assumption that this is parrying mid and high attacks, both punches and kicks. I do feel something like this can be abusable, especially in a game that was designed allegedly to be based off of aggression, to where now you're going to have to treat this Armor King parry similar to if somebody has rage, and you now have to completely alter your gameplay for fear of Armor King getting into this position. Because I think in this position right here, Armor King, I'm assuming, will not be able to break grabs. And if he is susceptible to lows, he will be open to lows as well. But it's just going to really disrupt a lot of the gameplay of this game. And that brings me back to the issue that I've always had with Tekken 8, where this game, while it was designed with casuals in mind, but the theme of this game is aggression. But yet and still, the developers continue to put moves and mechanics in Tekken 8 that basically disrupts aggression. So this is the reason why I have my stances against the heat mechanic, against the rage art mechanic. I feel that the rage art is way too overpowered at startup. I feel it should have weaknesses similar to armor attacks, whereby you can snuff the rage art or the armor attack out by either attacking low or grabbing. And I would assume that's what you can do with this particular parry, because even with Asuka, when she does her little parry where she's standing like this, when she's standing like this in place, you can attack her low and you can grab her. So I have very little doubt this Armor King parry will work similar in that regard from a weakness standpoint. But ultimately we won't have to wait long to find out. I believe the character comes out on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken. I really particularly don't care. I more so stream Tekken 8 mostly to suffer for my audience. You know, my audience knows. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this character evolves over the course of time within, I guess, the landscape of Tekken 8. My main character is Lei Wulong. I much rather see the return of my character. I'm pretty sure if and when my character is brought into Tekken 8, it will give me a shot of adrenaline to take the game a little bit more seriously and enjoy the game. But currently, I play the game using Steve Fox, which is very different than the Steve that I remember dating back to Tekken 4, 5, 6, 7, and Tag. But I've gotten used to him. And now took a while. But when I look at just this game in general, it's not a game that I really enjoy playing. I do enjoy teaching people and sharing tactics and working in practice mode. I do enjoy that aspect. But as I've said many times before, there are several issues with Tekken 8 that reveal itself after round one fight. And I've detailed all of that and more on my channel. So hopefully, if you're not currently subscribed, you will do so. But that's just my initial thoughts on that. So let me move on to the next topic. The next topic of business is this. So in case people are unaware, there is quite the battle going on between Call of Duty, or should I say Activision's Call of Duty versus EA's Battlefield. And I think it is very clear and evident that the vast majority of the first-person shooter crowd and community are really, really excited for Battlefield 6 and are not so excited for Black Ops 7. Now, I'm going to play both. I intend on buying Battlefield 6. And because I am I would say, a proud Game Pass member, I say that for a reason, because with all the outrage surrounding Game Pass, but I covered that in prior videos. I will have access to Black Ops 7 as I have access to Black Ops 6. So I will be playing all of the games. But it is not lost on me that there are many issues that the Call of Duty crowd has with Black Ops. And some of which I can understand, some of which I feel are a little bit overblown, and others I don't really fully understand. But this news that came out yesterday was that the Black Ops 7 beta has been extended by 24 hours. Now, when I saw that news, I felt like, you know something, I felt like this was a smart decision by Activision, but it also can be interpreted as an act of desperation as well, because I think it might be safe to say that EA and DICE, being the developer of Battlefield 6, I don't think they're really too concerned about what Black Ops 7 has going on. However, I think the opposite, where Activision is very concerned about Battlefield 6, is causing Black Ops 7 to make all of these changes. You know, and I think, to me, it's very evident. So I feel like it is an act of desperation, and I do feel it is a bit of a smart move as well. And then there is more news I'm going to get into with the next article, but yeah, some of the issues I've heard regarding Call of Duty has been mostly about surrounding the skins. People don't like getting gunned down by Beavis and Butthead. They feel it disrupts the immersion. I have to admit, you know, if Namco were to have skins in Tekken, right? And all of a sudden, instead of fighting, I don't know, Jin Kazama, you're fighting Marge Simpson or something like that. Can you imagine? You know, so I can see how that could be kind of silly and annoying. But for me personally, it doesn't really matter to me because it doesn't affect the game mechanics itself. when it comes to skins, as long as they are not giving you any sort of competitive advantage, I'm pretty much fine with it. Now, of course, there is the level of immersion. I don't want, like, if I'm like with the example, if I'm using Jin Kazama in Tekken and all of a sudden there's a skin that makes him look like a squid, yeah, that's going to be a little disruptive, But if we're looking at like, okay, he's just like maybe a famous martial artist, and that is kind of similar in graphical tone to Tekken 8, that's fine. I think it can also be disruptive when you have skins that actually have a different animation to it. Like sort of like when you look at Call of Duty, the Beavis and Butthead skins, I think they could have put Beavis and Butthead in, but the fact that they made the Beavis and Butthead character skins look like the cartoon amongst or amidst the rest of the game looking more like CGI and more realistic, I think that is one of the issues. I think if Beavis and Butthead and these skins were having the same graphical style and design, I think some people would still find an issue with Beavis and Butthead being in Call of Duty, but I think at least their general look is in line with the game itself from a graphical standpoint. And then also we hear about the skill-based matchmaking, and then and I'm also hearing many people bring up the time to kill, that it's way too elevated, or should I say it's way too reduced in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I can tell you from my personal experience, even being a scrub in this game, I would say that the time to kill in Black Ops 6, from my own impression, feels very different than Black Ops 7 and even my time in Battlefield 6. So I would like to see Activision adjust the time to kill a little bit to just increase it just a little bit. Because right now I think it's very low. It's almost like against every weapon, you are basically a wet napkin, So, but anyway, the next article is very, very interesting to me. So this right here, from Metro Co. And all of these articles I will have linked in my description for you to check out. As you can see, Black Ops 6 is free to play for a week as Activision is spooked by Battlefield 6. Now, of course, each of these articles from different outlets are going to have their own spin. I think you can argue and say that Battlefield 6, Activision is afraid or concerned of the notoriety and the goodwill that Battlefield 6 has garnered ever since it was announced. But as it says here, now this guy, he feels that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will likely outsell Battlefield 6. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that will push back on that by a significant margin. There's been a lot more positive buzz around the latter, particularly in the last few months. And he goes on to say that the beta for Battlefield 6 has been very well received, so much so that this is providing Call of Duty the much needed competition that I feel that it needs, because when you have when you have two different IPs within the same market, the same genre, I feel that competition is key. Competition helps you to stay grounded. It makes you want to outperform your latest performance. If you only have one option, how often do you think that particular company or brand is going to push the needle, push the envelope? Not very, because they're the only game in town. So they know if you don't buy from them, it doesn't matter. But, competition is a great thing in business in all facets. But I do find it interesting that for this particular move, Black Ops 6 is going to be the free trial. Now, I think it's pretty obvious that Activision is looking at Black Ops 7 as the competitor for Battlefield 6, not Black Ops 6. So I do find it interesting that they are using Black Ops 6 in this capacity. I'm very much leaning toward that Activision is a little bit desperate here, because do they really think that people are going to stop playing Battlefield 6 to play the free trial of Black Ops 6? I mean, maybe a little bit, but I don't think it's going to have the widespread, I guess I don't know what word I'm trying to find right now. I'm like doing this live. I don't think it's going to have the outcome they think. Now, if it was Black Ops 7, but see, the thing is, if they did a Black Ops 7 free trial the way they're doing the Black Ops 6, I do think people, like other content creators, would cut them to pieces. They would basically come out and say, look, Activision is scared. They're actually letting people play Black Ops 7 for free. I can already see all the videos from all the first-person shooter content creators. I can already see it. In fact, they're probably still doing it even though Activision is prioritizing Black Ops 6 for this. So honestly, I think that Activision should not have done this. In my opinion, if I was them, I would not have done this. If I were to do this, I would probably do it after the launch of Battlefield 6. Because all you're really going to do is fuel the fire of people that are going to come out and say that the only reason why Activision is giving a free trial is because they are concerned about Battlefield 6. If they would have waited maybe a month or so after Battlefield 6 and then say, hey, you know what? As you know, we stand by this particular game, we're just going to give a free trial. It won't have as much of a negative impact. But that's just my take on it. I'm interested to know what you guys' take is on this, because this is a very interesting battle that's going on between Battlefield 6 and Call of Duty Black Ops 7. It's very interesting to watch. Like I said, I'm going to be playing all of them, so it really doesn't matter to me. But yeah, let me move on to the final piece of business, which is Ninja Gaiden. So Ninja Gaiden is a game that I'm very much looking forward to, and it comes out on Game Pass and everywhere else on October 20th. But one of the main things, as you can see here in reading where it says Ninja Gaiden 4 DLC, blah, blah, blah. But at the start of the game, the new character, Yakumo, is going to have 4 weapons at launch, and Ryu is only going to have 1 sword, 1 weapon, the Dragon Sword. And so just to kind of put the camera on me for a moment, I want to just speak about this right quick. One of the main issues of Ninja Gaiden 4, because I've been following this game from the very moment it was announced, even as a rumor, is that this is supposed to be co-developed by Team Ninja and Platinum Games, the same Platinum Games that had the failure of Scalebound, that many people still blame Microsoft to this day, but that had nothing to do with Microsoft. That was Platinum Games' fault of failure to deliver. Also, Platinum Games are the creators or the developers of the successful Bayonetta franchise. I've never played it, but I've heard good things. So Team Ninja and Platinum Games, they operate within the same space, right? Action games. So we were led to believe that Team Ninja really had something to do with Ninja Gaiden 4, and then I learned, and I reported on a prior video, that was not the case. In fact, the entire game was designed and developed from the ground up by Platinum Games. So basically, Ninja Gaiden 4 is a Platinum Games developed title. So this does not surprise me at all that Yakumo has been given so much attention. It is my belief that the usage of Ryu, and this might be a hot take, in my opinion, is almost like a bait and switch in some regards, because you feature Ryu heavily in the marketing. However, it is clear to me that the main focus, I honestly, is their character Yakumo, because this is a Platinum Games rendition of Ninja Gaiden 4. In fact, if we're really being honest, Platinum Games could have called this game anything else but Ninja Gaiden. But the reason why they chose to call it Ninja Gaiden is because, as far as I'm concerned, not only are they using the IP of Ninja Gaiden, but it would help them sell the game. That's my belief. So I just feel that it is very obvious that this is the situation, because you're giving Ryu, the main protagonist of Ninja Gaiden since 1988, if I'm not mistaken. I was 8 years old back then. You only give him one weapon, and you give your character 4 weapons. If you really wanted to keep that same energy, why didn't you give Yakumo and Ryu one weapon? Like, why couldn't you just simply, the novelty of Yakumo being this new character, a new background story, new moves, but instead you give him 4 weapons to Ryu's 1. I think that right there tells me all I needed to know. Now, I'm still going to play the game. I'm still going to stream the game. But the news of this DLC, that it's going to have additional weapons, plural, we now know what that DLC is. And here we have it. This is by, WCCF Tech. So yeah. So the Ninja Gaiden, this is it right here, the 2 masters. These are the 2 weapons in question. So the DLC is only going to be offering each character 1 weapon. And while I think we can all agree that the weapon that Yakumo has is far more appealing and even looks better than the trash that they're giving Ryu. What they're giving Ryu is essentially, I think some people refer to it as pincers. I think this is absolutely a joke. But anyway, so you can read this article, but the thing that I will read here is that the 2 Masters DLC, which will be available in early 2026, contains new weapons for Yakumo and Ryu. You can see from the key visual that Yakumo's new weapon captures his personality and his approach to combat with his excessive abilities, whereas Ryu's weapon has a more precise look to it and will allow you to perform powerful and high-speed abilities. Each of these weapons will have its own distinct qualities and a plethora of mechanics for Ninja Gaiden 4 players to dig into, so we invite players to look forward to it. In addition to these weapons, there's also going to be a new story content. There's going to be new story content, including in the 2 Masters DLC, and the story content takes place after the events of the base game and unfolds from the perspective of both of these characters. In addition to the story content, there will also be post-game challenge content that exists separately from the ninja trials that are in the base game. So there's a lot of content for players to dig into. The 2 Masters DLC can be accessed by purchasing Ninja Gaiden 4 Deluxe Edition or the Deluxe Edition upgrade. The Deluxe Edition costs $20 more than the base edition. So I want to just get into that. As you've seen, the weapon for Yakumo is a giant scythe, basically like a Grim Reaper's a Grim Reaper weapon, and Ryu is just these little pincers. Yeah, again, Ryu, as far as I'm concerned, got the shit end of the stick. There's no other way for me to look at it. Out of all of the other weapons that you could have given Ryu, you give him arguably one of the least used. Let's see what Ryu had. Ryu had a staff. I think it was the lunar staff. He had, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ryu even had a scythe. I think in Ninja Gaiden 2, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. Ryu had nunchucks. right? Michelangelo, he had nunchucks. Ryu had claws, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think they were pincers. I think he actually had claws. What else he had? He had wait. That's all I can remember off the top of my head. I know he has bow and arrow and all that stuff, but the weapon I would have liked Ryu to have, which I don't think he's ever had, was the Sai. SAI. Think of Raphael from Ninja Turtles and that amazing fight that took place in Cobra Kai between Chosen and Terry Silver, where Silver had the katana and Chosen wielded the Sai. Like that is a weapon I want to see featured more prominently. But to give Ryu pincers, I think that's shit as far as I'm concerned. I think that they could have I don't know who thought that was a good option. Now, I'm pretty sure, I guess it's going to be pretty cool when you play it, but I think it is a bit of a disappointment given the fact that we know of all of the prior weapons that Ryu has wielded over the course of Ninja Gaiden, and this is the best that you decided to select. I'm not happy for that, and I would think that the vast majority of the people that are looking forward to Ninja Gaiden 4 will agree with me. There were far better weapon options to include into this DLC that Ryu used prior, not goddamn pincers. And then on the opposite end, you're seeing the new guy wielding a fucking giant scythe. Like, come on, man. Like that's ridiculous. But that's just my own thoughts and opinion on it. Like I said, it is my belief that Platinum Games is looking, and I could be wrong, but I think that they're looking to phase Ryu out. They're looking to kind of put Ryu slowly but surely into the background, because we don't really know what's going to come after Ninja Gaiden 4. We don't know if this is just a one-off. We don't know if this is the start of a new franchise that essentially Platinum Games is running. And that also begs the question, why did Team Ninja give over so much creative control to Platinum Games? It wasn't even 50-50, which we were initially led to believe it wasn't. So I'm a little bit concerned about the future of Ninja Gaiden. Now don't conflate what I'm saying. This is not to say that Ninja Gaiden 4 is not going to be a banger of a game. I'm going to be fucking playing it regardless. But I can't help but see certain things that are just right there in plain sight. Now, I have heard rumors that perhaps the reason why Team Ninja basically gave the reins over to Platinum Games is because they're focusing on other games. I think Neo, Niho, I think the third Neo, I think they're working on that. So maybe that took up a lot of their time. But I don't know, man. I don't know how I should feel about this, but let me know your thoughts in the comments section about this whole Ninja Gaiden thing, as well as the other topics I covered in this video. Hopefully, this particular video found you well. It has earned your subscription if you are not currently subscribed. And again, to go the extra mile, because I am a small and struggling content creator here in New York, definitely join one of my memberships. The lowest is only $2. So hopefully I will have earned a few of you that will do that as well as I continue to make more content down the road. So anyway, with that being said, take care, and shout out to my current subscribers and my current members. Shout outs and salute to you guys. And with that being said, I'm out of here.